Hey guys, before we get started on this episode, we wanted to let you know that we are going to be starting March 1st. We will be having a Patreon, which will be linked in our description for our March reviews. And we wanted to let you know that we are going to get that started. And so you can kind of prepare, and maybe that's something that you would be interested in. And there will be different levels to accommodate everyone that is interested. And we hope that you guys check it out. Now on with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of BS Drunk Movie Reviews. This is a weekly podcast, and we do upload the video version of this to our YouTube channel. So be sure to check us out there. My name is Matt, and as always, I'm being joined by my sister Vetta.
Hello.
Hello. And this month of February, we're going to be continuing with our theme of any movie that has Valentine in the title.
Yes.
So we are doing the movie Valentine. And that's the movie we're doing. So we're going to talk about that one. Vetta, before we get into this movie, two questions. First one, had you seen this movie before?
I had not thought I had, and I watched the trailer, still didn't think I had, and I got probably 40 minutes into it, and my husband was watching it with me, and I went, "Oh, we've seen this." And he's like, "Yeah, we saw this a long time ago." And I was like, "There's a reason I forgot."
Right on. When you had first seen it, did you guess who the killer was?
I did not.
Right on. But does it really matter? Anyways.
No, it didn't change the views of the movie.
My wife hadn't seen it before when we were watching it. I was like, what, you haven't seen this before? I watched it. I knew it was when it came out. Okay. All right, let's get to the most important question. What are you drinking?
Okay, so I had a completely different drink planned because, like, when we plan out our month, like we pick our theme, we plan it out. I go right into right away and I plan out my drinks. I had a completely different drink, but last week's drink was so delicious. I repeated it. It is the Love Martini.
Oh, right on.
It's not in a martini glass this week because I doubled the recipe and put it in a regular glass.
That sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Delicious. It's like candy. It's
like right on. Maybe I'll do it for our next one.
I did change one little thing only because I ran out of it. I didn't have peach schnapps, so I used watermelon schnapps.
Oh, right on.
You remember a while back when I said I was trying to find a drink that kind of tasted like a Sour Patch Kid?
Sure.
This is the closest I've ever come.
Gotcha.
The watermelon pucker was just what it needed. It needs the sugar around the rim because, Sour Patch Kids are covered in sugar. But I'm like, oh, this damn close is good. It's real good.
Right on. Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. I am drinking what is called a Kir Royale. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm pretty wasted right now, so but it is champagne. I'm drinking champagne because we have champagne at the end of this movie during the party.
Oh, yeah, and then it's also got Chambord. That expensive
Would
champagne.
You say?
I said she whacks that guy in the head with the really expensive champagne.
Oh, right on. And then it's got Chambord in it, which I'm like, I don't know what it is. I just put it in here. But it's like it's one of those liqueurs, but it's like it makes it taste a little bit sweeter. And then you're supposed to add raspberries, like a couple raspberries in it, which I had, but then my family ate them, which they didn't tell me, which I was like, thank you, assholes. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know what? We don't need the fruit inside of it. It's fine. I'll be fine.
Drunken fruit is delicious, but
delicious.
You have small children, so you should just be happy about anything they eat that isn't deep fried.
Right. Yeah. So it was just at the end I was like, what happened to the raspberries? I was like, oh, because you know how when you're drinking a drink and you're like, oh, look, a surprise at the end, and this was not happening. Okay. So let's dive into this movie. Okay, sweet pea. I just want to say right now, this opening scene is pretty fucking crazy. Okay, because so they're at a dance, right? And this little kid, Milton,
it was a pretty fancy dance for junior high. I didn't go to any really fancy dances. It was like a Halloween dance, or what did they call it? Morp, the opposite of prom, where a girl asks a guy. They
Right.
come in casual, everyday clothes. You don't get all fancy.
Right. And I just want to say this because I wrote down stuff like this never happens this way. Okay, so he goes to every single girl and asks them if they want to dance or whatever.
That's in this little clique. Yeah.
Right. And I just want to say that Jeremy Milton, which is the kid at the beginning, he gets turned down by every single girl. But I was all like,
No. He does not get turned down by every single girl. What's her face? Kate.
The fat girl.
Nope, that's Dorothy makes out with him.
Oh yeah, that's right. I wrote that down somewhere.
Kate's the one that lives.
She says maybe
later.
She turned him down. Anyways, okay.
But he took that as the
anyways.
Yeah.
So, which I didn't think Jeremy was that ugly, like, except he had that weird, like, face thing on, like, what was that thing on his cheek, that, like, rash?
I'm not gonna lie, I thought he got punched by somebody, like, a couple days before, because he was bullied hardcore. I thought maybe he was, like, pushed, shoved, hit, and it was a bruise.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was, but I was just like, I mean, like, yeah, he's got some pretty big ass, those big teeth or whatever, but I was like,
well, and he had those like perfectly squared 80s glasses, but
right on. Well, it's the 80s, so
everybody had those.
Yeah, he's in fashion, kind of. I was just thrown by the one girl who looked like Paula Abdul, but a white girl. I was just like, whoa, what's going on here?
At least he didn't have those glasses that, when you step outside, they turn into sunglasses. And then when you go back inside, it takes a really long time for them to not be like that awkward grayish color.
Right on. So, okay. So real quick, why does his nose bleed? Like, what's that all about? They don't explain that in this movie. And I was like, why?
I just assumed it was an anxiety thing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I mean, maybe, but then, then I have questions about that later on, but we'll get to it. Okay. Okay.
He's
so
killing
then
people, so he has anxiety about getting caught.
Okay. Well, so then he makes out with the fat girl, which I just want to say right now, the fat girl was not that fat. Like, they made it sound like she was a big oinker, and I was like,
talk about her nickname.
What was her nickname?
Buffalo.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Buffalo. Yeah. And his was Pervert or something like that. I was like,
Perv and Buffalo are making out under the bleachers.
Yeah, which I was like, she's not really that big, you guys. I'm like, and in
today's standards, that'd be a little junk in the trunk.
And I'm like, is him making out with a girl his own age really perverted? Like, what's going on here? I don't think you two know what those words mean.
I was gonna say, are you guys gay and you don't understand that people of opposite sex can be attracted to each other?
Now that we talk about it,
opposite day,
I am interested in what happened to those four boys in this storyline. Maybe they should have been murdered. How great would it have been if you find out one of them was Jason, which we're going to talk about in 2 seconds.
Oh my God, can we please?
So then he gets beaten up by these four boys because Dorothy says he attacked her. Okay.
Because she's embarrassed and doesn't want to admit she was willingly making out with a pervert.
Which I just want to go. He's still, I still don't understand that thought process, but whatever, it's fine. It's middle schoolers. They don't. I was gonna say
middle schoolers are weird. They've got
they're
hormones.
dumb.
They don't understand everything. They're just dumb.
Okay, so then we hop over to
present time.
Yeah, present time. Which I just want to say. Okay, so this the first little scene takes place on in 1988, and then it's 10 years later, which I'm all like, which would make it 1998. This movie came out in 2000. I wrote this down. That's the only reason I would remember any of this, because I wrote it down. I was completely drunk while watching this, but I wrote it down anyways. So it plays in 1998. I'm just like, that's not really that long period of time. It's whatever. Anyways, I'm trying to make a point and I can't remember what the point is. But
they
if I
make
do
it
later,
seem way more dramatic. Like,
yeah.
I personally go, could he really have changed that much? Because there's a drastic difference with who Jeremy was in middle school and who he is 10 years later.
Yes, there is, sister. I'll tell you
And
what.
I'm just not buying it, because at one point the detective does that age progression thing, and who he ends up being and who the age progression thing is, they're opposite ends of the spectrum.
For
You've
sure.
got awkward, dorky adult and super hot adult.
Adult vampire. Yeah.
Right?
So
Like,
hot. Okay.
Angel
So
from Buffy. Oh, thank you for existing.
all right. So then we hop over to Shelly first, which is played by Katherine Heigl.
Who is in med school.
And she ends up on Grey's Anatomy. Interesting. Anyways, okay.
Actually,
so
I think she was on Grey's Anatomy at the same time this movie was filmed, wasn't she?
I don't think so.
It's been on for 16 seasons.
Dude, I don't listen. If you want the exact answer, I don't know. Okay. I didn't research that shit.
The math and the typing. Why can't you do it?
You do it. My hands are too heavy. Anyways, so
I'll save it for another day.
For sure. We'll tweet about it. Anyways. So,
Maybe.
okay. So she is on a date with Jason, which I have to tell you right now, even though Jason was annoying, I love Jason.
Oh my gosh. Jason. There should have, like, when Jason shows up later, no one talked to Jason. Why did no one talk to Jason? I want to hear Jason refer to himself in the third person some more, because it cracks me up when people do that.
So, okay. So then he, okay, so he didn't pay for her. He was like expensive TiVo, which I'm like, who talks like that, Jason?
Well, because when she was not staying for quote unquote dessert, all of a sudden it was, we're going Dutch. I'm not paying for shit.
Right, exactly. Which I just want to say real quick. Sorry, I wrote it on my notes and I forgot to mention. Okay, so she spells out "help me" on her food plate, right, in the sauce or whatever. And I'm like, it's so big and you're in such a small table and you're so close together. How did he not notice? How did Jason not notice your "help me" sign?
Because Jason is too concerned with Jason to notice anything about you.
Yeah,
and
right.
For some reason, I keep doing my fingers like an airline attendant who's showing you where the exits are.
Right. And so then he's like, I was like, what? I'm not going to get a kiss and everything. I'm like, Jason, you didn't pay for dinner. You're not getting a kiss. Okay. That's how this works. All right.
Yeah, you're not even getting a handshake.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then he's like, Jason likes your outfit. And I'm like, Jason can suck a dick. How about that? Okay.
And he winks at her. And it wasn't a good wink. It was like, like he's going to say, army matey next.
Right on. So,
and then it skips over to she's at the like student lab cadaver morgue place. I don't even know what those are called.
Right. Where she's doing an autopsy on a cadaver.
Chad.
What?
On Chad.
On Chad. Yeah, I forgot
That's
his name.
She named
good for
him.
you.
I was like, excellent name for today's time to call the stiff on the metal bed. Chad.
Hello, Chad.
Love it.
Okay, so here's a question I have for you. Because I don't know. I'm pretty sure you don't know because you're not a medical student or ever was. Do they allow medical students to perform autopsies on cadavers at the middle of the night alone?
No, not at the middle of the night alone. But I do know this from a documentary. When you're in med school, and please correct me if I'm wrong or if this documentary is wrong, I think you get a cadaver and you do name him and he's your cadaver to learn on for the semester. Like when you donate your body to science, you either go to the cadaver farm in Tennessee, which I don't know if this is factual. I'm making this up because I've had alcohol.
Right.
Your body either goes to the cadaver farm in Tennessee, or you go to one of the many medical schools in the United States for people to practice on.
Right on.
You're not solving cancer.
Super fun.
I'm sorry.
Right on. Super fun. All right. And then, so I wrote it down somewhere in my notes, but I can't find it. Okay. So she ends up being attacked by the Valentine killer or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And okay. So she's running through this little school or whatever, this building. And I'm like, how do you not know your way around? Like,
yeah, she acts super confused. I'm like, is this your first semester? Did you you're here at night.
Yeah. And then she ends up, okay, so she ends up hiding in a body bag. And I was like, oh, well, there was your first mistake. Like you hide in a body bag. And I'm all like, you're just asking for death in a body bag.
You're not even going to put up a fight. Like, have you never seen a horror film ever?
Yeah, exactly. And so she gets killed right away. Like she gets her
Ooh,
throat.
my favorite was the Valentine. Like, he didn't get that at a Hallmark store.
Oh, he made it. Yeah, which I'm all like,
Oh.
these Valentines are very well made, even though they're
They
creepy.
are.
They're
That one
very
that
well made.
she had was like movable. Like she pulled down the little thing, the little pull me
Yeah.
thing, and the dress came off the person, and she was wearing a tank top with her
Yeah,
slit.
yeah. It was very
Impressive.
well made. I was like,
I,
hey, listen, Jeremy, if you survive all of this, you have a job in card
I just was
making,
like, do you have an Etsy store? Could you send me a link?
right? It's so funny. Okay, so then we hop over to oh, what was her Paige, and then what was the main girl's name?
Kate.
Kate.
Kate and Paige are speed dating.
Yes, it's our fate, Kate,
Yeah.
to be mates, Kate. Anyways, okay, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Okay, so they go to, I wrote down turbo dating. Now, did you ever, I know this was a thing, like it was called speed dating, but did you ever do this when we
You
were growing up?
forget that I literally met my husband the first week of college. Like I was
I don't
18 years
forget these things, but that doesn't mean you didn't speed date.
I never, because we were exclusive and everything within a month.
Okay.
I
So,
didn't do speed dating, blind dating, internet dating. I barely dated him before we were married and engaged and all that
gotcha.
shit. So
Okay, so I okay, so these men in this speed dating or turbo dating, sorry, it's turbo dating. They tell a lot of shit that they shouldn't be telling people. Like I'm all like, why are you telling this woman that your ex saw you were
says you're
sexually
bad
unpleasing?
in bed.
Yeah. I'm all like, no, please.
Telling her just to say she was wrong.
Yeah, I didn't understand that situation. Like I'm all like, why would you tell a woman that? I would never tell anybody that. I'd be like, I'm amazing in bed.
And I got news for you. That's not a challenge she's going to accept. If you were like saying it to get her to prove your girlfriend wrong, no girl is going to go,
Right.
another woman said you're bad in bed. I think she's wrong because you're attractive. That's
Right.
not.
Okay. So then Brian comes up. I wrote down Brian. He is talking to Kate, and then Paige, which I just want to say right now, Paige is an asshole because
Through the whole movie.
she butted in. And she
Stole
was all
6 seconds.
yeah,
From
for
Kate.
6 seconds, she's like, hey, I'm Paige. Did Kate tell you she's in a relationship? And I was like, hey, Paige, why don't you try not cock blocking Kate for a hot second? Because maybe she wants to, maybe she wants to taste the rainbow in terms of men, and you're blocking that shit.
And she really should have.
Should she have though? Brian was pretty hot. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. She should have. Brian's pretty hot.
Okay, yeah,
You
for
should
sure.
have tasted the rainbow.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember, he wanted a wax job.
Yeah, which I want to talk about, bro. When we get to that point, I want to talk about. Okay. I also I made a side note here. Okay. Besides the fact that everybody keeps telling us that Paige is a big slut, have we seen any proof that Paige is a big hooer?
See, I thought that too. I thought, oh, is she one of those weird girls that like comes off as a big slut, but really has never done anything?
Right. That's what I thought.
Turning everybody down.
Right. And they did not explore that as much as
No.
they should have. Like, I'm all like, you guys should have explored that just a tiny bit more, because I was very interested in that whole dynamic. Sorry, I dropped my pen and I'm trying to, God, Jesus Christ. Anyways,
Maybe you had an itch.
I'm sinking. Yeah.
Right.
So, but I was very much interested in that, and like they didn't explore that in any way, shape, or form. And I'm all like, I
watched that movie.
Exactly. I'm not a Hollywood script writer, but I would have been like, in the end, you find out Paige is a virgin. And you're like, what? And everything. So, okay. So then they get the call after the turbo dating that their friend Shelly has been murdered. And they go to the
Yes.
funeral, right?
The funeral. Yes.
Now, I don't have any thoughts on Hottie McHottie, Adam. I don't have any thoughts on him and his whole conversation with Kate, but when that detective comes up to the four girls and they're talking about Shelly and they're like, oh my goodness, and he's all like, I just want to say this detective throughout this entire movie gives away way too much information
I
to
thought
these
the
four
same
women.
thing. I was like, you have no guarantee at this point in the movie if one of them is the killer.
Exactly. And I'm all like, this is not how
We're
detective
still
work.
at the stage of everyone's a suspect.
Exactly. And he's all like, have you guys ever heard of Jason? What's his face and everything? And I'm like, yeah, I know Jason from the last scene, you know? And they're all like, no. And he's like, well, he was the last person to see her alive and he's gone missing too. And I'm like, why are you telling them this?
My thing too. Why did he keep? Because the first thing he asks them is, when was the last time they saw Shelly? And they're like, half of them are 1 year ago, and the other half are 2 years ago. Isn't that the point where the conversation should have ended and he should have moved on?
Yes. Because I'm sorry, if you haven't seen someone for 2 years, you're not just randomly murdering them.
Yeah,
That's
just because you're best friends in high school doesn't mean you're best friends for life.
right on. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. So then Dorothy, fat girl,
Yeah.
which I'm only calling her fat girl because she called herself fat, and I can say fat because I saw on a TikTok that you can't say obese anymore because that's mean. Anyways, so you should just say fat.
So at the last episode, we connected multiple people to Grey's Anatomy, and in this movie, we can as well.
Yes,
because
my wife
Dorothy
pointed
is
that out to me.
Arizona.
Yeah, my wife pointed that out to me because she was all like, is she from Grey's Anatomy? I was like, is she? And she's like, yeah. And then she looked up and she's like, she is from Grey's Anatomy. I was like, that's so funny because Katherine Heigl and then this girl and everything. I was
She
like,
is Dr. Arizona Roberts.
I
And
was,
then you
I was
have
like, shut
Izzy.
up. I was
Yep.
like, me and Vetta are doing Grey's Anatomy
So
episodes.
apparently we've got a sub theme in here.
If they ever do a movie, we're on it, you know?
Right? Apparently.
Okay, so then Dorothy goes back to her house, which is amazing, by the way. I was like, whose dick do I gotta
mansion?
Yeah, I was like, whose dick do I gotta suck to get that kind of house?
Apparently, you just need to be a mail order bride, and her dad's
Oh my goodness,
which
is the mail order bride was hot. I was like, you're nice.
Right?
Okay, so Chapel shows up, right? And Campbell, that's what I said.
The soup.
I just said it in French. That's why you didn't understand it. Anyways,
I don't speak French. That's why I didn't understand.
Exactly. Like you said Campbell, I said and Chapelle. Anyways, okay, so he shows up and I'm all like, this random dude shows up at your house and you just give him a room, like because he's hot.
Those dimples.
I was like, oh fuck those. Yeah, I mean, granted, I would have fucked those dimples too. Anyways, I was like, okay, fine, whatever. But then, okay, first off, the maid did not answer the door, and she was all like, did your father ask for this room to be open? And she's like, I did. So get a room ready. I was like, I would have fired this maid in a heartbeat. I would have been like, you're now fired. You can't fire me. Only your dad can fire me.
Like,
well, he's gonna fire
maid service. You're out.
Yeah, you're out, sweetie. And then she gets her just desserts later. If we'll go get into that. Okay. So then,
yeah, we need to talk about that because I do have questions about that.
Yeah, and but I just want to say, as far as Campbell goes, I love how she's just like, I'm in real need of dick right now. You can have a guest room.
So I'm moving you in. I've on dick demand.
she is like, I need it, and I need it bad. So give him a guest room.
Okay, so can we move to Kate's apartment now?
Well, can I just say one more thing about this whole thing? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to say that Dorothy's father, he is a bad dad. Okay, because he chose his mail order bride over his daughter. And I was like, that's really...
the mail order bride has a pussy made of gold. His daughter, he doesn't have a clue about her pussy.
Yeah, well, and as well, he shouldn't. But
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
I was just like, I really thought that was a bad move as far as fathers go.
It was a horrible move, but he ordered a mail order bride, so he's not exactly, she was up and up.
Yeah, she was waxing the knob. So I guess I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know,
He
dude.
doesn't want her to divorce him and run away to somebody else.
Right on, right on.
So,
okay, what were you gonna say? Okay, Kate's apartment, go.
So Kate's apartment, she's in the shower and she
Right.
hears noises.
Yes, and she
And
has.
she gets, go ahead.
No, you go.
She has so much shampoo in her hair.
So much shampoo.
So much shampoo in the hair. And I bring this up because when I get to the end of this, you will understand. So, first of all, she hears noises and she turns off the shower.
Turns off the shower.
So this is the first flaw in that. I would get out of the shower to check the noise, but it would stay on because I don't want to lose the temperature of the water. Because if
Betta,
you turn
we are
it
on the
off,
same
you gotta
boat
start
here.
all over at the cold and get it up to the temperature you want. And you have
Yeah, we
shampoo
are-
in your hair, and that shit's gonna start dripping in your eyes.
Yeah,
Burn.
we are on the same boat.
So she gets out and she puts a towel on and she goes and checks the house. No one's there. She goes back to get in the shower and she has no water.
No water.
No water. Remember, she's got a head full of shampoo. Like
Right.
you see the suds. Like it's like when you were a little kid and you used to put so much shampoo in your hair, you could make it into a mohawk.
Right.
Yeah, it's that kind of shampoo, like overdone. She checks every faucet. No water. She opens the refrigerator. She pulls out a bottle of water.
Evian.
Yes, and there's like maybe a half a cup, which I still would have used that half.
I
would have
used that in
I
heartbeat.
did what she. I would actually never do what she did.
Oh my
to
God,
get
I
the
wrote it
shampoo.
down. I would have never done. I would have never.
Never. I was like, this is. I literally wrote, "Oh my God, this might be one of the grossest things I've ever seen."
Yeah. I would have just tried to wipe out the soap.
I
before
would
did
have
that.
wrapped it in a towel, and my assumption is she has a gym membership. I would have went to my gym and finished my shower there.
Yeah, I would have
So
never.
Kate doesn't do either. And she does see when she's looking around the house, she does see her creepy, she sees the cherub mask guy and her creepy neighbor or
And
whatever.
Gary.
Yes. Yeah. So she does, there is like a part to this scene, but I can't get over the end. That's why I'm so focused. So when she's running around, because she's got to leave and get to work, and she's checking the faucets, she can't find anything. But there's one place in her apartment that still has water in it.
Right.
She literally dips her head in her toilet
Gross.
to wash the soap out.
Gross.
The rest of the movie, the whole time, I'm like, she's running around smelling like a toilet. She has toilet water.
Yeah.
No matter how much she washes her hair, it is a toilet now.
Yeah, I would have never done that. Yeah, I
No.
was the Evian, but like you said, the Evian bottle. I would have done anything but that. I would have just put the Evian in my head, and then I would. Just
I'm not joking. If I had milk, I would have poured the milk on my head before dipping my head. And I know, I know science has proven toilet water once you flush is clean, but this is the problem I have with it. You know as well as I do, and I've had alcohol, so I have no problems saying this at this point. Sometimes you take a poo, or girls have a certain thing that takes place once a month, and even after they go to the bathroom and they flush, and when you go poo, there is residue left in the toilet. And she's just fucking dipping. She take the brush, get out some bleach. I'm so grossed out by it. I can't, because there's one tank toilet water in the back of that toilet. So she could have cleaned it, flushed it, it would have filled back up and then dipped. But even then I'd been like, oh
yeah, no, it was pretty gross.
Seriously, that was the most horrific thing of this whole movie.
Yeah, it was pretty gross. I didn't care for it.
I just can't. I'm sorry I took so long on that. I'm really disgusted by that whole thing.
Oh, so you're good. Okay, so then we hop over to Lily's apartment where Paige and Lily are hanging out. And Lily is watching a videotape. And I'm telling you right now, these people are very obsessed with dating, because Lily has gotten a tape of some dude. I don't remember his name is. But she's
that's how they used to do. That was like the first like version of like online dating, I guess, or whatever. Video services. Right. I don't know. Singles, mingles, whatever.
Yeah. And then she gets a Valentine.
Well, they don't know who it's for. It just comes to the door. It doesn't have a name on it.
Yeah, but Lily demise, it's Lily's, and she starts eating it. and there's maggots in the kid, which I'm like, if that was me, I would have just been like, and the end of the movie is now because I'm not going anywhere for a whole month. And I was like, I'm grossed out.
There are so many of these things that occur that I'm like, that's way more scary than being chased by a chair-faced murderer. I feel like I could have faced that better. Like I would have went straight to the hospital if I ate a chocolate with maggots in it. And I've been like, I'm dying.
Right. Yeah, it was gross. It was gross. And I love how, and then they talk about Jeremy Milton, like they're just trying to figure out who JM is. And I was all like, well, it has to be somebody y'all know. And that's the only JM you all know because you all got a Valentine, you fucking morons.
Detective always wants to bring up Jason Marquette or Marquis or whatever his name is. And I'm like, they all didn't know him, Detective.
Yeah.
Only Shelly did, and she's dead.
Yeah, she's a goner. So then they go over to, pardon me, Max's art gallery, which I just want to say, okay, first off, Max is from a movie that I personally love. It's called it's called something Records.
Oh yeah.
I can't really. Yeah,
I've seen that one.
Don't be a fucking ass. Don't be a fucking
One of my favorites.
It's called Empire Records.
Yeah, I love Empire Records.
I love that movie. Yeah, that movie was so good. So he's in that movie. But he's
in love with Liv Taylor's character.
Yes. I love it. We should do that movie. Anyways, okay. So then, although we'll just sit there and like lick its butthole because we love it so much. Anyways, okay. So then he is doing an art show, and it's just basically like body parts, like, you know, mouth saying "I want you" and like eyeballs.
But it's blinking. A blind date is the theme.
Yeah, which it's so stupid. But okay, so then he's making out with Lily. Okay, even though he's been hitting on other people right now. Which, by the way, Jason shows up and Jason's being very creeper and everything. So then
Paige is into it.
Yeah, Paige is weird. Okay, so Lily,
he invites Amy to join him and Lily in the threesome, but doesn't tell Lily he's invited.
Lily's not having, so she's like, I'm out of here. Lily then gets murdered with a bow and arrow, which I was like, what's going on here with this nonsense? I was like,
bow and arrow that killed her. I think it was the fall 4 stories down into the garbage can.
Which I was like, that's fine, but because it was easy clean, you know, she's gone out of the way and everything. But I just go like, you couldn't have just stabbed her. But I love how what
murderer chooses a bow and arrow as their weapon of choice?
Right. I mean, I understand maybe they were trying to, what?
It seems inefficient.
Yeah, I mean, I get maybe he was going for the whole Cupid thing, but I was like, listen, you're taking this Valentine's Day thing way too seriously. I think you just need to get in and get out. So maybe a little stabby stab, throw her off the balcony, easy clean, and you're good.
Yeah, there's definitely way better choices than a bow and arrow. I mean, even if you want to just use the arrow, still stab her with it. I mean, he had to shoot her, and you've got to have aim.
And she went through a whole TV screen, so I was like, somebody's gonna notice. I'm like, it's just weird.
And can we talk about how this art was an ever-moving maze? How is it that nobody else saw that the killer was turning off screens?
Because
he couldn't have known the direction she was gonna go. It's a maze.
Right on. Yeah,
it was just a whole weird scene.
Right on. So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get this scene at, I'm assuming, Shelly's parents' house with the detective. Because he's asking about Jason Milton. And then he's also saying, like, she got this Valentine. And they're all like, I got a Valentine too. And he's like, you don't want to mention that to me? And I'm like, no, they didn't want to. And you should stop mentioning shit too, dude, because you're telling way too much information.
Like, didn't you feel his questions were wrong? Like, I felt like he should have said, have you guys received any strange packages?
Right. Yeah.
Or letters?
Yeah, it's very obvious that this was not written by somebody that works with detectives because they were just telling.
They've never seen a true crime documentary.
Right on.
Or
Okay,
watched
so
Cops.
right, exactly. So then they get outside and then they're all talking about like Jeremy Milton and how he attacked Dorothy. And he's like, they attacked you, right? And she's like, well, it's not exactly.
She
And then
admits
yeah,
that
she admits that
lied.
she didn't. I do like that she said I was fat. But even though she really wasn't bad, I was like, at least you can admit to it that you had a little extra weight. That's fine. No big
I
deal.
did like how her friends refused to call her fat, and they were like, "You were big boned. You were a
Yes.
little chubby." And she goes, "No, I was the fat girl." Like,
Right on. So, sometime in between here, we got Gary's murder, the neighbor, because he was stealing Kate's underwear, and the murderer, for some odd reason, came into her apartment to find Gary. And my favorite part about this was Gary was like, he's like, I'm unwell, and I'm like, yeah, we can fucking tell, Gary. We can fucking tell, Gary.
but did she leave the iron on, or did Gary turn the iron
I
on?
think Gary turned it on, but I literally laughed out loud when he was like, "I'm unwell, brother," or whatever. And I'm all like,
The first step is knowing there's a problem,
"Yeah,
Gary.
exactly."
Yeah,
You are, yes, and there is a problem, Gary. I'm not saying you can't wear pantyhose if you're a dude. I mean, you probably shouldn't, but whatever. But I'm just saying, taking your neighbor's pantyhose is a little like, there's a store you can just buy your own.
Problem when you're stealing not just the pantyhose, but the underwear too. There's a whole bunch of stores that sell them in your size, Gary.
Yeah, and
No one's gonna shame you for it. You do you. Just don't steal your neighbor's shit.
yeah, I'm just like, listen, if you want to wear women's underwear and pantyhose, that's fine, but you can buy them. Even in 1998, where I think this took place, even though the movie was in like 2001.
98, yeah.
And I'm just like, you can buy pantyhose.
But the killer was very upset that he was in Kate's house stealing
True.
because she's one of the group.
Yeah.
And he's
Okay.
obsessed with the group.
So then we get Paige, who is obviously hanging out everywhere except for her own fucking apartment. So she's hanging out with Kate because Kate comes home then, and then she's got the iron and she almost bashes Paige over the head with it. Which, Paige, I'm like, why are you in her apartment by yourself?
And what did he do with the body?
Sweet Pea, we don't know that. We don't know that answer.
We don't. Just like the maid.
He just burnt it and then he beat it to death with that iron. And then
that is an interesting weapon of choice. I will say that.
Yes. Okay. So then they're sitting there and they get a call from Dorothy, and then they get a call from the detective.
Detective tells everyone too much info.
Yeah. And he's all like, yeah, you need to come in because we need to have a talk or whatever. So they go in to talk to the detective, right? And they're all sitting there, right? And then he shows them the video of, or the face rendering of Jeremy Milton.
Yes.
And then he's all like, Paige, I want to talk to you by yourself. And I'm all like, ooh, I wonder what he wants to talk to the hottest chick for.
Right.
And
I was like,
Yeah, exactly. What does this bald asshole want? And he's like, what are we going to do about this?
There was a moment that I was like, oh my God, does she have daddy issues? And that's why she doesn't date guys her own age, because she's doing all the old dad bods.
Right. Maybe that's it. But I still go back to
fine. Good for you, Paige. You do what makes you happy, but not this guy. He's weird and bad at his job.
Very bad at his job. Oh, which we find out how bad later on. Okay. So he's like, what are we going to do about this tension? This sexual tension. I was like, ooh, that's a good line.
As he's working his hand up her thigh.
Yeah. And she's like, get your hand off my thigh. And he's like, where do you want me to put it? She's like, how about up your ass? And I'm like, kinky. Anyways. Okay. So. Which
is normally not the way Denise Richards characters go.
Right. Exactly. So. Oh, one thing I forgot to say during this whole thing before that whole thing happened. Okay. So then he starts asking the girls about their partners. And one thing she asks Adam, who we find out later on is the killer. I'm sorry. I'm revealing it a little too early, guys. Sorry. He is
But
actually,
but he's very, we'll get to it. Never
yeah.
mind.
So Jeremy Milton, he changed his face and everything, and he's now hot.
And he looks nothing like the rendering. Watch the
Exactly.
progression rendering. Like, he's had serious plastic surgery done. There's no
Yes.
way that
Yes.
guy in the wife beater in the rendering with the big 80s glasses looks like Angel from Buffy.
Right.
No way.
Exactly. So, okay. So he mentions in there that Adam's parents died in a fire. But then Kate mentions that she met his parents in Seattle. And I'm all like, how'd he pull that off? This Adam character. I was like, that's some good shit right there.
Maybe they were murdered after.
I doubt it. I'm just like, man, Adam has really worked this whole situation.
For the long con. He
Oh,
really
yeah, he
is.
did. He did.
I mean, he got scarred in middle school and
Right,
started
yeah.
plotting this shit.
Right. Which I'm all like, good for you, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, that's the
Anyways.
way to commit and finish
Yes,
something.
he
He's not
did.
a quitter. That is a healthy trait in a boyfriend. So that Kate's got that going. He's not a quitter.
Right. So then we hop back over to Dorothy's mansion, right? And Dorothy's okay. So Dorothy is like her and Campbell. She's like all into Campbell because she really wants that Campbell D. And
She just wants to be loved.
Right. So she buys him a watch, which I'm assuming is an expensive watch for Valentine's Day, which I'm like, you only know him for a month and you bought him a watch. All right, whatever. Cool. That's cool. So
And then
then
he couldn't get it up.
that's what I was all like. So then they have sexy time, and sexy time turns out to be wah, 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 and everything.
Awkward time.
Yeah. So I'm all like, is Campbell gay?
And my whole thing was like, I seriously went, wait, was there alcohol involved? Did I miss alcohol? Because that's the only time straight guys don't get excited about boobies and vagina.
Yeah, exactly. Listen. I don't want to be a dick.
Is a thing. Those of you that don't know, it is a thing.
Yeah. Listen, I don't want to be a dick, but I fucked some fatties in my time, and even then I could get it up. I'm like, it's not that hard. Like I'm like, I was like, what happened? And Dorothy in this movie, from a child to an adult, is not fat in any way, shape, or form. So I'm all like, I don't understand how you couldn't, like, I don't know if he couldn't get it up or he just couldn't finish or whatever, but I'm all like, I would have been able to finish, and I fucked some fucking nasty ass bitches before, like face wise. So I'm just like, I don't get your process of thinking, but whatever. Hey, listen, to each their own.
Right. But then he does a very strange, let me give you your Valentine's Day moment. Like, she gave him one, like, when they're just having casual conversation, she comes walking. I was like, I got you your Valentine's Day. He literally scares the shit out of her by opening the shower door to give her present.
He's like, get out of the shower so I can give you this.
It's my turn.
This hideous necklace, by the way. It was not.
And I go, he pointed the finger at himself, because if anyone didn't notice, he gives her a necklace with a cherub on it, and the killer wears a cherub mask.
Oh, which, by the way, I just want to say, how I forgot to mention this before, but how could Dorothy not notice the red flags of that one girl, Patty, I think, or Ruthie. Ruthie shows up at that art thing saying like, hey, you owe me money and everything. And then he's all like, I've got a business deal or whatever. How should she not notice the red flags?
And the fact that Ruthie says, I invested a ton of money in his upstart. And he literally tells Dorothy when he first meets her that he is an upstart internet company.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. I'm like, oh, whatever. So then he's trying to transfer funds for some odd reason. I don't know what's going on with the transfer funds thing.
It's her dad's name. Evan Miller is her dad.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I wrote that down. I was like, oh, he's living in the house and he's stolen her dad's shit.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. So then, So then she's all like, will you go turn on the pilot light, restart the pilot light now?
So I think the pool is in a separate building from the main house.
Yes, which I've seen that before. Like, you have the pool house and then the main house. Okay. So then the cherub murderer gets a hold of him. I'm going to tell you right now, I literally laughed out loud when he sinks the axe into his back and he's like, and then he just dies. I was like,
See, you waited longer than I did. I started laughing when he stood up and wiped off his hands and goes, "That's worth a Porsche." I was like, you fucking con
right. Oh, I was
got the axe. I was like, oh, that's worth a Porsche.
right. Yeah, no, I just loved how he was just like, ooh, and everything
Okay.
how?
So I have a question for you. And I'm only bringing it up at this point because it did come in thought afterwards. So I have in my notes, do you think Dorothy and Jeremy were in on this together?
No.
Why? Because
I
why
think
would he kill Campbell? He doesn't know Campbell.
I think he killed Campbell because he wanted Dorothy to be like depressed during her party. He wanted her to be like so upset.
But how did he get Campbell to dress up into the outfit and try to kill Kate? And yes, I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is the point where
Campbell didn't dress up in any outfit.
He removes the mask from not Campbell, Dorothy. How does he get Dorothy to dress up like the killer then?
He punches her in the face. She's got a bruise at the end. I was going to mention that.
Oh, I didn't.
She's got like a bruise on her face. And I was like, do you think he punched her like, and then he just kind of threw her on top of Kate at the end? That's what I thought.
Let's continue on and readdress this at the end.
Yes, we will, the little kitty patootie. Okay. So then, and I also, okay, I want to mention something that I forgot to mention. Okay, so the detective, when he calls them before the party and then after the party, when he's on his way to the party, he tells them
because they have to release Jason,
yes. He tells them to stay together, like all the girls to stay together.
And the very first thing they do is get in an argument and separate.
Yeah, they separate both times. They separate. And I'm like, you guys are idiots. You're going to die. Okay.
So they clearly they've never seen Scream and they don't know the rules.
Yeah, they don't know the rules. Okay. So the party starts, which I just want to tell you right now, this party looks amazing. I was like, listen, I've been to some parties and they've never been like this. The most I've ever been to was like, like an apartment party or a hotel party where it's like, 20 people in like a really small area.
Apparently
or whatever.
We don't have uber rich friends, or at least at that party stage in our life, we did not have friends that lived off mommy and daddy's money.
Yeah. So Dorothy's party is going on and she is sitting in the back room just eating a fuck ton of chicken wings. Oh my God.
That is like, she ordered the to-go option of 50 wings from B-Dubs and has polished the whole thing off and stacked them on a silver platter.
Yeah, she didn't even wipe off her hand after finishing the last wing to pick up her champagne glass. She just threw it down and then picked
Kate interrupted her.
Yeah, it's like, Kate, and you're interrupting me in between my snack. I'm a fatty.
I'm an emotional eater and my boyfriend stood me up. So could you step away, girl?
Yeah. So then during the party, so Brian shows up and Paige, and he's like, I like your moves. And I'm like, oh, I love your lines. And he's like, I want to take you upstairs. I got something to show you. It's my dick. And she
clearly wasn't too impressed.
Yeah, which I'm all like, how small was it and everything? So she's like, oh, you came to show me your penis and everything. So then he's like, wax it. And I was like, that's an interesting term of words because I've never said
too. I was like, I was going to ask you, do guys say
we do not. We don't say that. We don't say that. Okay. And then he allows her to tie him up. I would never allow a girl who I did not know to tie me up. That's crazy.
Can we talk about how irresponsible Dorothy is, that this is a party and apparently she has lit a bazillion candles in the bedrooms at her party and has just left them unattended.
Yes, you are 110% correct. It is insane. Okay, so then she's like, so she ties him up. Then she's like, you still want me to wax it? And he's like, oh yeah. And then she dumps candle wax all over his penis and then leaves him there. Now, I'm not going to lie. I thought we would find Brian dead later on. But
oh no, he survived. He's just traumatized now.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people are into that wax thing. I'm not into pain. I'm not into that. Pleasure. For those of you that are, hey, consenting adults behind
Yeah,
closed
no
doors,
judgment.
do what you want.
Yeah,
But that sounds horrible.
Yeah, we are suspending judgment. By all means, have at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then look, can we get to Ruthie shows up and she's all like, I want my money. That's my necklace and everything. So then she goes and she steals his new watch. She's like, I got
Because
some.
she snuck back in the house and is going through his shit. I
Yeah.
love it. Ruthie, I'm like, girl, get your money back.
Yeah. And then she goes into that hideous billiard room, which I was like, who designed this thing? And the killer
But
comes
the
out.
wallpaper in that room was insane.
Yeah, it was bad.
So
And
bad.
she runs
I
into
love this part. She
runs
I
into
was like, did the party end? And
right,
she's
exactly.
the
It's so
only person
quiet. It's so
left.
quiet. It's like she found the only part of the house that's quiet with no candles. And so the murderer pops out who has killed the maid. And I was like, the maid deserved what she got.
But this is my other thing on why I was like, is Dorothy in cahoots with Jeremy? Because why would Jeremy kill the maid?
Well, I think he killed the maid because I think the maid, I think because she was just there. I think he killed and I'm talking way too much sense here. I think he killed Campbell because he wanted Dorothy to feel alone and abandoned during the party.
See, and I thought Dorothy knew he was using her, and then she was heartbroken.
Yeah,
So she killed him, and then she was pissed off that the maid wouldn't listen to her, that the maid was all, did your father say that?
Yeah, she's not. I don't think she's smart enough for that nonsense.
Well, it's a terrible movie and they didn't make a second one, so we'll never know. They definitely left it open for a second one.
Yeah, and if that was the case, that would have been way more interesting, but they didn't explain any of that. They just left it,
I
all
agree.
up in the air. Okay, so then Ruthie, okay, so she runs into the murderer. She's running through this house and she runs into this little sauna / bathroom or whatnot. There is a stained glass window behind her, right? And I'm all like, why don't you just jump through that fucking thing? Because I'm like, this murderer is going to murder you as soon as he catches you. Why don't you just try your chances and jump through this window?
Right, because what's the worst thing? You're on the second story, so if you jump through it, you might break an ankle or maybe worst case scenario, a leg and an arm.
Yeah.
What are the odds he's coming after you? Because you're not his main target. You're collateral damage.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm all like, but she doesn't. She hides underneath a bench in a sauna room, and then she comes out, which I was like,
but
just
she finds
stay
Campbell
there.
Under
yeah, she finds Campbell. Exactly.
I totally thought he was going to turn the heat to the sauna up.
That's
really
what I thought too.
And
That's
like
what I thought
boil
too.
her to death.
Yeah, but he didn't. He just let her stay in there or whatever. Which I'm all like, I would have stayed there. I was just like, nah, fuck that noise.
I wouldn't have moved until I heard somebody saying it's the police.
Right, exactly.
Okay. I might even have picked Campbell's body up and laid under it to play dead.
So then she gets thrown to some glass and then she gets shoved onto it. She's dead now.
That is some sturdy shards of glass. Like
for sure. I was like very well placed shards of glass.
Right. Isn't glass like that type now that shatters into a million itty bitty pieces? And this glass made huge shards.
So then Kate gets a call from the detective. Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot to say. Paige, since she's pissed off about Brian, she goes off and she goes to the hot tub to chill out.
Which we find out from Dorothy and Kate is the normal way she ends a party. She gets pissy and ends up in the hot tub.
Yeah. So she goes into the hot tub and she's just chillaxing, not even in the hot tub or whatever, with a bottle of champagne. And she hears a noise and then she gets pushed. Eventually she gets pushed into the hot tub by the killer. And then he closes the little thing, which I'm not going to lie. I thought that this was kind of inventive in terms of a murder.
I did too, because I've never, and granted, I'm not saying they don't exist. I've never seen a hot tub cover that was like the plastic see-through.
Yeah, that's me too. I'm in the same boat.
But I've also never seen a hot tub inside of a home. I've only ever seen the ones outside.
Right.
So, and I live in a very cold state because outside right now it's like 5 degrees.
Right, ain't that the truth, sister? It's snowing like crazy.
So much fucking
so much snow. Okay, so I thought this was, and then he takes a power drill to it.
Where
I was
did
like,
he get this drill from?
I don't know, but
With
I
the
liked it.
longest drill bit I've ever seen.
Yeah, because I thought he was just gonna drown her, and I was like, oh, I was like,
I kind of
boo.
was like, I thought he was going to crank up the heat and just leave her in there because eventually she
Oh.
would boil to death.
Yeah, that would have
like
been
a
cool.
lobster.
Yeah, that would have been fine too. But he drills holes into it, and finally he gets her in the shoulder, which I was like, ooh, he gotcha. Because she was doing pretty good before.
She really was. She
And
was
then
very
like maneuvering.
dodgy, maneuvering,
yeah.
whatever the term
she was tucking and rolling. and then finally he just opened it up and just threw the drill in. I was like, oh, look at that. You there's no escaping that, honey. You're
I
fucked.
went, was blood your trigger? Like you needed the blood to finish the kill?
Right. Yeah, right, exactly. And I was like, oh yeah, I was like, you can escape those drill holes. You can escape the whole fucking drill, honey. So
very inventive kill. It was probably out of this whole movie one of the best kills. I don't know if there was one that was any better, but I just went, it took a really long time for him just to give up and toss the drill in there.
Right. So then the detective calls and he's like, we had to let Jason, what's his face go, stay together. I'm on my way to you. And then they separate, of course, instantly because
Dorothy, again, this is why I say Dorothy was in on it. She has a complete meltdown.
Right.
And Kate gets pissed and separates from the group because she sees, what the hell is her boyfriend's name?
Adam
drinking, and he's apparently an angry drunk, and she doesn't want a part of that.
Right, and she accuses Adam of being the killer, and then Kate accuses Campbell of being the killer, which we know isn't true.
Yes, so they get into a tiff and go their separate ways.
So they separate, and then Kate calls the detective, and we hear
this part was probably, it wasn't really a jump scare, but as far as this movie goes, it was the best attempt at a jump scare. Right. It was very original.
Yeah, and she finds the IOU that she gave to Adam, which is IOU TLC, and I was like, "Oh, don't go chasing waterfalls, honey." And so
which is funny that it was found in a koi pond.
yeah, exactly. And then she finds the detective's severed head, and I was like, "Look at you guys! You cut his head clear off the detective
and put it in the koi pond, and it had sunk to the bottom, but had been in the water so long that it pooped back up at the right time.
Yeah, and you left his phone out in the open. Interesting. So right next to
where's the rest of his body? Why is the phone not on his body?
You guys, let's not get rid of the phone. Let's just leave it by his severed head in the water. It's fine.
We gotta have a reason for her to find the head. Lay the phone on the sidewalk. Lay it on the sidewalk.
So okay. Oh, excuse me. So then, okay.
You know what, I've come to the conclusion.
What's that?
Hollywood should test. They shouldn't get focus groups, normal focus groups for all their movies. They should get drunk focus groups. We would be excellent about telling them where the flaws in their movies
are.
Ain't
that the truth? Okay. So, Kate is running through the house or whatever. She runs into the killer. After she runs into her boyfriend, who's all like weird and everything, he's
coming down the stairs. Remember?
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, Kate," and everything, and then runs into the killer, and the killer, like, I don't know, tries to tackle her, and they fall down the stairs, and then the killer gets up, and Adam shoots her with the gun that she got from the study.
Totally did the Michael Myers get up. The killer did the whoosh.
Right. Okay, so then
Adam goes pew pew pew.
Yeah, he shoots the killer, right? And they take off the mask and they reveal that it's Dorothy. Okay. And then they call the cops and they're like, we're here at the house, you need to come quick or whatever. And then she's like, how could she do this? And he's like, it's probably she's so angry that she let it fester inside until it overwhelmed her. And then she buries her head in his little nook, whatever. And then blood starts to trickle and hit her face. And I'm like, how do you not feel that blood on your face and wake up, honey? I don't get that percentage program, whatever. And then we find out that Adam is really Jeremy Melton.
Yeah.
And he killed everybody and set this whole thing up. And then that's the end of the movie. And
I like my version better that him and Dorothy are in on it together, because she's pissed off that she was the fat girl, and it wasn't until later that she became friends with them, and he got bullied and sent away to boarding school or reform school, and then juvie and all this other shit because Dorothy lied, but she clearly made amends, and now.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I feel like anything would have been. This ending was so like very abrupt and nonchalant.
And it definitely was an ending to leave a sequel. Like they thought this was going to be some horror movie franchise, but it was horrible. It wasn't good.
Yeah, it wasn't a great ending.
I only recommend this movie if you're like, because occasionally, no, this is like, because you were going to ask, would you recommend this? I know how this works. I've done this
right
before.
On. No, it's totally cool.
So this is the only way I would have watched this on my own. So occasionally I have insomnia, not occasionally. I mean, I do have insomnia. Occasionally.
You okay?
There's like a burp stuck that won't.
Oh.
Oh, that was weak for being that painful. Okay. Anyways, so I will wake up or I will not be able to go to sleep, and I will just put on shitty movies thinking that if I put on a shitty horror film, because I sleep better. I know this is going to sound strange too. When there's a horror film or a murder mystery or something on, or shark movies, I fall asleep very well to shark movies.
Oh, look at you.
I know. Zombies and sharks are my best get to sleep movies. This would have only have hit my radar if you would not have picked this movie if it came up on my Shudder movies you might like or whatever, or new movies or whatever, and it was like 3:00 in the morning and I was dead tired but could not sleep, I might have clicked on it. Otherwise, I don't think, like, I know I saw it many years ago, but again, I think it was like at 3 a.m. in the morning when I was feeding a baby.
Gotcha.
So yeah, no, I would not recommend this unless you're really exhausted and don't have any other options.
Right on. Yeah, I would say don't. I mean, well, I would say do watch this movie. I mean, it's not like bad. It's not as bad as it could be, but at the same time, I'm all like, oh, it's kind of fun. Whatever, it's fine.
Well, it had its moments. It's just there are so many flaws.
For sure. I agree. Okay, so moving on to our next portion of the program, we're going to go to our questions. All right, so what is your question for this movie? Go.
I have been waiting for a situation where I could write a question where I got to give this answer. So it's more of a, I wrote the question to fit the answer. What is your favorite Denise Richards movie?
Oh, it's simple. Wild Things. I cannot tell you how many times I've jerked off as a small child.
Her and Neve Campbell making out in the pool.
Yeah. Oh my God. Neve Campbell was like I loved her so much when I was growing up. Are you
as bitter as I am? Like I the new Scream intrigues me, but the fact that Neve Campbell's not going to be in it makes me want to boycott it.
That's the only reason I'm not going to see it. She's not in it. Yeah, I used to, like, no joke, I used to jerk off to that movie all the time when they were like making out in the pool. I was like, yeah, you make out, you dirty girls. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. But yeah, no, I love that movie so much. It's so good.
It's a great movie.
So good. What about you?
So mine is,
although, can I just say though, I wish I could say Beverly Hills Housewives, but she was great in that. Oh my God. All right, you go ahead. What's your answer?
He's had so many nips, tucks, and injections for that show. It's insane.
And I love how what's the name of her the co-star that was in like Pacific Palisades? What is her name?
Is that Bethany chick or
no? She was. It's like oh, what is her? And she was so jealous of her because she She was because Denise Richards would act. Lisa Rinna. She
Oh,
would
yes.
she would be Denise Richards would go off and act, and Lisa Rinna, you could tell she was so jealous of it because all she was getting was those adult diaper commercials,
And
and she
she's the one
was
that's really pushing her daughter
yeah.
into being famous. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved the drama. It was really mean, but whatever. What are you gonna do? All right, what is your answer? I'm interrupting with
That's okay.
nonsense.
So my movie, this is a staple on, like, I literally do have a insomnia late night playlist of movies that I play on the TV, and Starship Troopers.
Oh my God, I love that movie so much.
Oh,
I almost
it's
said that movie.
amazing.
I almost said that movie, but she doesn't get naked in that movie.
She does not get naked in that movie, but you want to know that is the theme of that movie. Every one of the like big brain bugs or the big conquering bug looks like a vagina with teeth.
Oh my God, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the
And
truth?
I'm like, a very angry man designed these alien smart bugs.
Yeah, and it like stabs the dude in the head, and he's like, oh,
But
and
then when the
everything.
mouth opens, it's literally like
It's just
two
it's
giant
just,
lips
it's a
outside of like
giant.
a teeth eating
Yes, it
sideways
is.
mouth.
Yeah, yeah. That's so true. And it's got like no snot coming down from you. You're like, ew, like gross. Like
Just
that's not a thing.
each time every movie progresses, because I think there's like 3 Starship Trooper ones.
There's like 5.
Yeah. Well, with each one, it looks less like an alien and more like a vagina with
A
teeth.
vagina, yeah. That's funny. That's so funny because it's true. It's so true. It's so
Yeah,
true.
it's either made of gold or it's the devil. There's no
Right.
in
That's so
between.
true. That's so true. It's either going to go to the devil. That's so true. Oh, that's so true. God, I wish it wasn't true, but that's so true. Okay. All right. So my question for you is, what is your favorite horror movie with a nosebleed?
Okay, so mine's not really a horror movie for the traditional standpoints, but as far as I'm concerned,
Right.
it's a horror film because if this girl was my daughter, I would have lost my shit and murdered her and been on the news. I picked Lady Bird when the girl has sex
Oh,
and she gets a nosebleed for the after it. That movie is seriously the epitome of every fear I ever had of raising a child, because she's just absolutely horrendous in my mind. I'm like, why? Like, your mom's not the best person in the world, but you're just a bitch.
see, I'm not gonna lie. When I watched that movie, I thought her mom was nice.
Well, she wasn't like horrible, but she wasn't like, Betty Crocker of a mom either.
See,
But
I thought she was
daughter was
nice,
just
but
in my mind pure evil. Like,
yeah.
she sent my anxiety as a parent to a bazillion.
Oh, see, I thought the mom was nice in that movie. Like I was just like,
I
oh, this
thought the mom was
daughter's
fine. I didn't think she was mom of the year, but she wasn't
gotcha.
evil either. She wasn't, you know how that whole teenage thing of everything's a bazillion times worse in your head than it really is? Like, this girl made it so horrible. I just didn't like it. I was like, this is my nightmare of a child. So that's why I picked it.
Right on. No, I agree. I agree.
So what was your choice?
My choice is The Ring. Okay, so the nosebleed section happens when she's researching
Yes.
Samara, the girl, and she's in this video library thing, and go ahead.
Is that the microfiche part?
Sure, yeah, where she's watching the video and she takes the fly off of the screen,
Oh,
even though it's in the video, and she takes it off the screen, and then her nose starts to bleed, and then the little video librarian comes in. She's like, hey, you're like bleeding or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, everybody
I
knows.
forgot about that scene till you. Can I change my answer? Because that whole movie freaks me out, because our mom had the whole thing on if horror films weren't real because they're inside the TV, and that girl climbs out of the TV.
That's true. That's true. She was like that. But yeah, no, I love that. I love that movie, and I love that scene. So
Naomi Watts in that movie is amazing.
yeah, Naomi Watts is great anyways. I love her so much.
Yeah.
So All right, you guys, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you so much for listening to us. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. You can check us out there. It's at BS Drunk Pod, and you can check us out there to stay updated. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anywhere where you get your podcast or whatever, please leave us a 5-star review or a positive review. We would really appreciate it, and it really does help us out, you guys. You have no idea how much it helps us out. We will also be posting the video version of this so you can see our beautiful faces, mine especially, on YouTube.
Bullshit. That's adorable.
On
I have
YouTube.
dimples.
So be sure to subscribe to us there, and you can check us there at BS Drunk Movie Reviews. And please join us again, but most importantly, don't forget to drink, recap, review, and repeat. Bye, you guys.
Bye.